Hi, Rebecca. How you doing? Thank you so much for your submission. Let's go ahead and take a look at, I just want to get this up here so we can see. Sketching into paper prototypes, yes. Have some personas, a scenario, and the overview. Included, I need to develop more features of the app itself. I agree. Any and all feedback is appreciated. Absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead and jump over. Now, good job. Good start on the presentation. I'm going to go through this presentation. I'm going to give you my reactions. So first of all, based on the actual presentation itself, we take a look. There's a couple of things. You're missing some periods here typographically. Also, if we take a look, there's no real underlying grid in this presentation. And this is presentation format. So as a designer, you should really establish a good, solid presentation in terms of elements, principles of design, layout, and presentation, right? So the reason I say that is because we take a look at this. Now, if this is your grid line right here, and apparently it doesn't really look like you've applied a grid yet. I don't know if you plan on doing so, if this is just your preliminary work, but I just want to draw your attention to this. The way this page is set up right here. I'm going to place my cursor here on the left margin. I'm going to scroll down to the next page, and we can see that that page doesn't fit the grid or the layout for this page. So the viewer subsequently ends up jumping over here to view this page, the text on this page, and then back over here to view the text on this page. So I would recommend applying some sort of underlying grid, just so the viewer has a good solid expectation of where things are located on upcoming pages, and so reduce that saccadic eye movement of jumping around the page every time the page is turned. Okay, good cover, good job. User-centered design process, nice. That's a really nice introduction based on your subject matter. So that's beautiful. Good job there. Nice type on your cover as well. Locavore, overvore. I want to go through these. I just want to give you my reaction. One of the things I think it's really important to stress in any sort of presentation, any project at all, not just prototyping, but any one of your projects. You've had me in class before. So I mean, you've had me for your classes. So you know my style, and my style is very, very complete. Now, you've heard me say this before. In presentation, regardless of the subject matter, you always want to make this assumption as a designer. Always assume the viewer has no clue what you're talking about. Okay, and the reason I say that is because there's some things immediately that put your viewer at a little bit of a disadvantage here. And I think one of the things is this, CSA. I believe that is, I'm not sure what CSA is, so I looked it up, and I believe it's community supported agriculture. And that certainly fits in this scenario, but we need to describe that, because right now, at the very first sentence of your presentation, the viewer is confronted with something they may not be familiar with, which means, of course, you know the chain reaction from there. As soon as there's a point of stress for any viewer, the first thing I want to do is move on and move away. That's a natural reaction. Based on review. So we all do it, and we all feel uncomfortable when there's questions that we don't immediately know the answer. So the reason I'm bringing this up, Rebecca, is because I think it would be advantageous for you to expound on each of these. Okay, so overview, a mobile application that allows local residents to be matched with specific farms nearby. Volunteering, CSA, workshops, and more based off interests and desires. What more? Okay, so what more is based off interests and desires? Describe it. Tell us right here, right now, what's going on. All right, be as completely be as completely detailed and thorough as you possibly can. Okay, whether you're new to a community and seeking a place to purchase, look, it's often easy to overlook small businesses nearby. Again, Rebecca, we need to draw this problem in with the actual industry, with the actual application that you're designing. Okay, so what are the actual problems? Not just overlooking smaller businesses nearby, but what is the actual connection to your app? So it would be overlooking the purchase of local agriculture based on nearby local businesses, right? And you could take that a step further and say because it's too difficult without the assistance of an app to find and locate and contact those local smaller farms and businesses. Okay, target audience could probably be developed a little bit further. Now, one thing I recommend, this is a mobile app, right? So your target audience should be mobile friendly, if not mobile savvy. Okay. 16 plus, up to what? Let's get that, really, really get that defined to a very high degree. Give us exact demographics on your target audience. So in other words, we got some economic demographics here. So for example, I don't think this would be, I think this app would be applicable to probably those of us in that maybe cap off at middle class or even upper middle class, but we would probably end it right there. You can even give a span of income for your target audience. I wouldn't target the ultra wealthy here because typically the ultra wealthy don't take care of their own food, you know, their own shopping, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's one segment that you could probably or delete or not include altogether based on the further definition of the target audience. Main features: search by location, matching service between farmers and residents, and search products you're looking for. No, again, no period there. What about delivery? I want to address delivery in 1 second, but let's go ahead and jump over here. So this page looks good. I think this is good. It's a nice, nice persona set up here. All three of them, really good job. Also, you did a great job making the personas completely different. So they're not similar to each other. As you can imagine, it wouldn't be thoroughly advantageous to include 3 personas that are identical, or if very close to each other. So you wouldn't include 3 chefs, right? So I thought this was good that you've got a student, a chef, and then the farmers themselves. So that's really fantastic job setting up your personas. One thing I would recommend as I read through this again, you know, define things that the viewer might not know. You know, here you mentioned helper that she's a she commutes by bike. So how is she going to pick up her food? I got to thinking. So she uses the app to choose the location in that. But if she commutes by bike, could we add a delivery service? Is it possible to add a delivery service to your app? I think that would really tie in beautifully, because think about it. A lot of people that are locavore enthusiasts and involved in using local resources would also be the same type of demographic that would want to reduce their carbon footprint, right? Meaning there's probably a good probability that a good portion of your target audience doesn't commute via fossil fuel. So probably a good portion of your target is commuting by bicycles or something smaller than a full-blown car, maybe mopeds or something like that, right, to reduce that carbon footprint. So my reaction here is to set up some sort of delivery service for this particular app. Tie in a delivery service that can pick up and deliver your food. Okay, the scenarios are really good, though. I think they're fantastic. Good job. It's describing how the scenario relates to the app. That's fantastic. And then we have, oh yeah, definitely, yeah, good job there. And then we have our scenario and storyboard. There's one thing I wanted to see. Let's take a look at the storyboard. One thing I wanted to mention in the storyboard is this one thing right here where we go this transition here. And I agree, we need to get all of your screens down. This is a storyboard, but we don't have our wireframes. Remember, wireframes are due this week as well. So we have, here's what to do. Okay, so this is from last week. Ideation of problem, target audience, 3 main functions of the app and your competitors. Then you're going to establish your personas. I recommend at least 3 and at least 1 scenario. I recommend 2. Create wireframe sketches of all streams. That's really important. Then create a storyboard of your scenario, which you have. But then we need also the paper prototypes to be photographed and posted in your final submission for Sunday. But let's go ahead and take a look at this storyboard, your scenario. And there's one little issue I see right here. So everything makes sense up to this point right here. So we have Mashma finds a nearby farm that caters to her kitchen's needs, right? So she finds the farm. Now at this point, you're saying she meets the farmer. Okay, so right here, we're just kind of saying, okay, what is she using the app to find a location? And that seems like it wouldn't need a full-blown app for that. What I would recommend is going from this step here to actually interacting with the farmer to make her deals right on the app, as opposed to going to the farm to meet the farmer, right? I mean, that makes sense. That's the convenience of an app, right? So let's go from here, this step here, to actually setting up, making her deals and choosing her products via the right within the app, as opposed to having to travel. The only thing she should have to do to travel is to pick up the food. But if we're going to add delivery service here, then she wouldn't even have to do that. Everything can be done from the comfort of her own kitchen within your app, right? So let's keep that in mind. And again, the only thing we need, well, we still need a few other things. We still need those, as I mentioned. We need wireframe sketches of all of your screens. I'd say go 10 deep on those screens at least. I'd say with the three main functions of the app, I would go at least 10, maybe 12 screens deep with your wireframes. And then create your paper prototypes. And of course, the paper prototypes are used to test for the preliminary stages, the first testing stages of the app, where you have your actual screens represented by different pieces of paper, where the person you are testing, when you're doing your user testing, can make choices by pointing to areas on the paper. At that point, you would record their answers, and if they have it accurate, that's great. You move on. If they have it inaccurate, make some notes. That's the data you'll collect for the iterations of your app. Okay, makes sense? All right, so really great start. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to let me know. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing Sunday submission. Thank you very much, Rebecca.